Um, Good afternoon, Mr. Khatami.
Good
I
afternoon,
actually
welcome.
got a chance to watch the movie today, and I would like you to talk
Thank you.
about your journey as to what coming up with this idea, writing it, and then directing this. Quite a masterful piece, to be honest.
Oh, thank you so much. You're very kind. Um, the this started quite a long time ago, almost 9 years ago. Um, and I was um, supposed to adapt a book um, to a script, but I found myself writing about two friends in a garden, and I had no idea what this is about. And soon I realized that this is a way of me talking to myself as these two people are talking. And slowly I realized my sisters are coming, my mom is coming, my dad is coming to the story. And at some point I had to ask myself, can I show this to anybody? This is becoming too personal. I'm saying things I've said to nobody and everybody will know it's me. And that was a hard decision to make. Should I make this movie or not? But then a friend of mine read the script and called me 1 a.m. crying. And when that happened, I was like, okay, maybe it's no longer my story alone. And other people also connect with it, and I should find a way to put it out there. And then we started, bringing a team, and soon I realized that a lot of people connect with the pain in the story and find a little bit of themselves in it. And that's how we, brought a team together. And 9 years later, I'm talking to you.
Thank you. I think the most interesting part in the film that I found, I mean, there were many, but one of them is that protagonist is Ali, a university professor who coerces his gardener into a cold-blooded act of vengeance. What were you exploring regarding class of intellectualism by having a man of a thought use a man of labor to execute his darkest impulses?
We have this assumption that if somebody studied well and is well educated, and this is the belief of Ali as well. This is the story he tells himself. That I studied and I washed dishes, therefore I'm a feminist. Therefore I have nothing to do anymore. I've done my job regarding, patriarchy. And that the story, and the moment the story is challenged, the world starts falling apart. A woman starts coming with stories that do not agree with his story. The sister tells a story, the older sister tells a story, the aunt tells a story, the father's lover tells a story, and he realized that his narrative is very limited, it's very exclusive. And the story becomes about a man who has to look himself in the mirror and say, your story is incomplete, you have to let that go and build a new story that is more inclusive. And often in literature and in cinema, when we write about these characters, these are ignorant characters who didn't study well. No, it can go and study a lot of books and still live with a dark side in them. And I wanted to challenge that because to me, that was my story, reconciling my story with my sister's narratives.
Um, and thank you for your thoughtful response to this. I wonder, the setting of the film is obviously it's set in Turkey, at least they speak in Turkish, right? But it could have been in Iran as well. Um, I understand there might be like many reasons as to why you had to shift it. Maybe not to get into the specifics, but however, for you as a writer and as a filmmaker of this film, how difficult it is to change it in a way to ensure that your piece of work still lives. It will get created instead of being centered and silenced.
I have lived more than 2 decades of my life in exile. And I've lived in 9 countries. The first film I made was a short film I made in Malaysia in English and Malay language. Later, I made films in Spanish, in Mandarin, in Farsi, and now in Turkish language. So I think it was part of my exile training to tell stories, my stories in different contexts, in different geographies, and in different languages. So that those exile, the exile condition taught me the sensitivities that it requires when you are a guest in a society and you're telling a story. How do I make this film, not only my film, how do I open it up for the host to come in, use this opportunity with me to tell a story, you know? So it's an exercise of working on your ego more than anything else.
Well, that probably is. Sometimes it happens, but you have mentioned that you spent years to create this, to write this, and probably a fear that you need to overcome to ensure that the piece is there, because sometimes you just don't know how this will be perceived, how it will be accepted, whether it will be liked or whether it will be disliked. How do you do this as an independent filmmaker to avoid all that perceptions of your barriers that you might sometimes create for your own self?
Again, that's an exercise of working on your ego. For me, it's finding the right engine of motivation for why you're telling a story. If you're telling it to put it in a festival, if you're telling it to sell a ticket, if those are your motivations, you're definitely up for some disappointment that's going to hit you, right? Because it doesn't matter where a film plays, there is always a disappointment. Oh, you won the Cannes, but you didn't win the Oscar. Oh, you won the Oscar, but you didn't win the Golden Globe. Or you won the Golden Globe, but you didn't win the... So that game can quite destroy you if that's the reason you're making the film. But if your reason is a strong engine inside you, as your goal is to make the film. Once it's made, the achievement is there, you know. So to me, it's going back to the reason you made the film.
What I wanted to know is, once again, as an independent filmmaker, this is very, to me, it's really like a European style. It's the movie like it's a psychological. You're really getting engaged with this, but it also comes with the price tag attached to it, right? You need to look for the actors. You want to make sure that you have secured enough funds, and you also want to make sure that, I guess, the creative independence, you still preserve that. Do you mind to talk about those challenges as a filmmaker that you face to ensure that the story, it will be still told the way you want it to be told? But
Yeah. So this movie took from the start to end 8 years, right? I put 8 years of my youth, best years of my life into this. I didn't get paid for this. The way, nobody can pay you enough for 8 years, right? Especially when you're making an independent movie on a shoestring budget, right? So it requires, again, a sense of mission, motivation that goes beyond the market economy. If you're trying to sell tickets, this is the wrong business, right? So if you're in the business of gifts, this is a gift. I've crafted a gift for the audience. I don't expect to get rich out of it. And I won't. I didn't, right? So it requires a sense of madness in a way. If you look at it from a capitalistic perspective, it's an insanity. Now, how do you go around and find these sources? I made the movie through co-production treaties between Canada, France, Poland, and Turkey to make this film work. Is it a European style? I think we give Europe too much credit. No, I mean, this is a Canadian film.
It is. As a Canadian, I'm really proud of this film. And um, maybe just to go back to Ali for a second. Ali is a very interesting character. She's driven by vengeance is one thing. The one may ask that what is it that in there? But the more the deeper you dig, you kind of realize where does this his decision coming from. But for you to go around the script and writing it in a way that you have done it, it's really complex. It's not really easy, and it's not like you can come to it in a way that can be as simple as you tried to explain it, even though it wasn't. Where would that inspiration came from? I understand the inspiration, but it's very. I think Ali is very is a character that I personally want to know what happened after the credit roll.
Mm.
You know.
You know, before this movie, the way I look at the characters were different. You know, the characters had a function; they had to deliver that functions for the narrative, etc., etc. With this film, I tried to bring as much as possible. Um, let's put it this way: I made an incomplete character, right? Because when you try to complete a character, it's always 2D. Complete characters should be able to disappoint you. That's human. Characters who disappoint you, who betray you, that's human. That's too human. Sometimes it's too human. We cannot bear. You know, when a friend betrays us, we hate it, right? But that's human. We live with contradictions. So I try to be inspired by that. That the too much of humanity that exists in all of us. We are a compilation of contradictions. That was inspiring for me. And acknowledging it, looking at myself and say, oh my God, I'm this too. Trying to bring that to the script, you know. So I think it's the first time I've done a character that is, you can see a bit of humanity, is incomplete in some ways. You cannot say it's a good one or a bad one. It's just human.
Well, you really my God. I do want to ask another question, but in a way that you have responded to this question is you're like, okay, then the conversation is over. But I'm gonna
No, you
ask
can ask.
I'm gonna ask another question though. There are a lot of people, like a lot of artists, filmmakers, writers that might also go through certain challenges and spend years to create something. Sometimes they think that maybe they're not good enough, maybe their story is not good enough, just because maybe they don't have funds enough, right, to create this. Based on what you have gone through, and eventually you have created a very, very intelligent piece of art. In my, I mean, I watched it today and I truly enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Not just to praise you, but it was very, very
Thank
captivating.
you.
My pleasure. What would you recommend to those aspiring art filmmakers or writers that have a good ideas but don't know how to get there or don't know where to start and reduce the
Okay,
number of years from 8 to say 4 at least?
okay. What I say may not be something that the folks are looking to hear, but I would say give it a shot to hear what I'm saying. Um, it's not about a good story that you have and you cannot make it. It's not about the funding or the piece of equipment that you don't have. If you have the right motivation, and this I'm choosing the word carefully. What is the right motivation? A motivation that is sustained over time. A motivation that is not an impulse. Today is a motivation, but tomorrow is not a motivation, right? If you choose the right motivation, and again, think about what is the right motivation. If you have the right motivation and you wait for your heart to be filled with that desire spills over to reality. And then the reality have to find a way to bend to your will, right? My first film was under $1 million. Everybody thought my second film going to be more budget. My second film was $40,000. My third film was again $1 million. My first short film was $26. And in all of this, it was never about the tool. It's never about the tool. We think it's about the tool when the inside is empty, when we are not honest. Oh, I have a great story, but there is no fun. I doubt you have a great story. You know.
Now, the last question that begs, maybe I probably shouldn't even ask, but in my opinion, the quality of the film should not be judged by the price tag on it. You can have a multi-million, hundreds of millions spending like dollars a movie and be totally unwatchable. Then you have to spend
100%.
and you have to spend $40,000 and the movie can be remarkable or memorable, right?
Absolutely.
What was the price tag for this film? Because it's really good. The reason why I'm asking this is just for the readers or for audience to also realize that sometimes you don't have to chase a lottery. Sometimes the lottery may hide in something really small, and then you just can unpack it.
In my experience, I've never made like multi-million-dollar projects. And whether there was a $26 movie or a $1 million movie, I wanted to tell that story so badly that I gave it 8 years. If this movie would have taken 20 years, I would give it, right? There was no other way around it. So it's never about the price tag, as you said it. Like, look at Hollywood. Every year there is a $140 million movie flop. Doesn't sell, is unwatchable, nothing, right? I never think about the tickets. I think about a story that when someone else reads it, finds a piece of themselves in it and says, hey, I know it's madness, but I'm going to help you build it. If I have that, I'll make the film.
Since I'm not being asked just to stop for now, so I'm going to ask another question. Do you worry that the technology that AI might take the creativity, take an ability to write, or maybe even to get the actors? What is your take on this?
I think AI is here to stay, and it is going to change completely the way we look at storytelling. And I can't wait for filmmaking to be cheaper, to be faster, to be easier, so everybody can try it. So then we don't hear this excuse that, oh, it's about the tools and about the money. I have no problem with technology. I hope it can replace me too. If it can, it will. The fact that a lot of us go around and say, hey, whether you like it or not, it's here to stay. You better find a way to use it, right?
That's true.
It's about, when calculators came, a lot of accountants went to the street demonstrating that it's hurting the industry. Parents had demonstrations that, our kids will forget how to do math. Didn't happen. We use calculators today. Right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you
for
so
your
much,
time.
Alkar.
Yeah, and thank you for the
Appreciate the
wonderful movie.
conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you. You too. Thanks.